So I wanted to get this video out sooner rather than later, so you can see the Civic is in the air because I've started working on it. We're going to be talking about this thing just up here, the yellow sticker. Now it's going to be a talking video and I've got notes in front of me because I want to make sure that I get all my facts correct. So, Friday night, the 31st of January, Zac Baldy, a popular YouTuber from over east, 19,000 subscribers on YouTube, held a meet. Now I usually don't go to Perth car meets or cruises because, to be honest, 90% of them are bad. There's bad people, there's bad cars, just attracts the wrong kind of attention, so I try and avoid them. Zac is a lovely guy, he spreads happiness, openness, so I decided to go along. I rock up at about 6:10. The police show up and very swiftly block the entrance to the car park and also put a cop car at the other exit of the car park. So right now you can't get into the car park from where you would normally get in, and the way out there is a cop there. Now I need to get some things 100% straight before we get into this. I know this car is illegal, right? We run the risk every day that we do things to our cars which are not allowed. I don't agree with those laws. I think they're absolutely stupid. In particular, my car has 5 modifications on it. I can literally count them on one hand, and I'll do that right now for you just so we're all on the same page. I have coilovers, front camber arms, rear camber arms, lower control arms, and a seat. That's literally all I have, and we'll get into why I was defected in just a second, and also how on earth I got a defect which is the wrong way round. So first off, some facts. I'm going to read from my notes just here. The police themselves stated that they found the meet on Facebook and decided to show up. Now what that means is there was no reports of ill behaviour. They just decided to show up to ruin people's days. Now I say ruin people's days because of what they say next. Now after I'd got the yellow sticker, I hadn't actually realised the details of it, which I'll go into in just a second. The senior officer stood just behind me having a chat with Zac, and he literally said, word for word, we are here to make a statement. They're not there to make Perth a safer place. Now, I've had a few comments around, oh, why did you hold a meet near a cop shop? The police that did all these tickets were from Midlands. They were from a division called TEG 2. TEG 2 are very famous for doing this. They actually drove all the way down to Albany for Race Wars last year to hand out yellow stickers. There's a very famous case of the Rocket Bunny brown RX-7 getting a yellow sticker, and he was not allowed. He was pulled over on the side of the main high street on a corner. He was not allowed to move the car to a safe place to load up onto the trailer. He had to pull the trailer to where he was, and he had to load it there and then. That's how unreasonable these cops are, just so we're on the same page. So he then went on to obviously give my yellow sticker. Now I didn't approach the police officer, I didn't speak to the police officer, we never made eye contact, we never had a conversation. We did have a conversation after, I'll get onto that in just a second. Now he's given me a yellow sticker for being too low. I'll own that. The yellow sticker you can see is on the outside of the window. They are legally allowed to give that yellow sticker without me present. Now I got the yellow sticker, which is somewhere. It essentially says car too low to conform with Australian standards. And that was tucked underneath my windscreen wiper. Now what I'm going to do now, before jumping back, is read some of the legislation, because a lot of people are a little bit jaded on where they can and can't give a yellow sticker, me included. So I did a bunch of reading, a lot of reading to be in fact. Okay, I'm going to put this up on the screen as well so you can see it. I'll post up all the details down below so you can read it all for yourself. Section 52 is in regard to inspecting a car on the grounds that it has a defect, and this particular section is around where and when you can do that. So I'll read it out almost word for word. I won't go into all of it because you don't need to, and you can read it on the screen. In this section, Vehicle means a vehicle, whether attended or unattended, that bit's important, located A, on a road, or B, in or on a public place. Now there is a C, but that's completely irrelevant. That's all public land, like library, car parks, etc. Now, the thing to note here is that in law, it's all about how you define words, right? Either how they're interpreted by a lawyer, and that's how a lot of cases are swung, because someone can interpret the law a different way unless it's explicitly said. Now, for some reason, when it comes to defects, they're very, very specific. So the two main words here are on a road. So you need to define what a road is. Now, a road is what you would know as a road. There's nothing really, there's no grey area there. Now, obviously, I was stickered in a private car park, which everyone's like, it's a private car park, you weren't near the car, like all these things are illegal. It's not. They can literally give a yellow sticker wherever and whenever they want. Now, let me read you out the definition of public place. Public place includes a place, A, of public resort open to or used by the public as of right, or for time being used for public purposes, open to access open to access by the public. Now the important one here is C. Open to access by the public by the express or tacit consent or sufferance of the owner of that place, whether the place is or is not always open to the public. Now, what that essentially means is that even though it was private property, because I, as the public, can get onto that land, it makes it a public place. Now, just to kind of emphasize how absolutely wild that is, that means that any private property, including your house, could be a public place. Now, I've had various conversations with various different people. People have told me they've spoken to a senior police officer, but according to the law, and my inbox blew up, I have various cases of the police going up to people's houses because there's project cars, i.e. like this. If it has rego on it, a license plate, they will try and sticker it. And that is the underlying thing that you have to bear in mind, that if your car has registration, you can be yellow stickered absolutely anywhere. The only thing that will stop police is private property that the public can't get onto, i.e. there's a gate or there's a garage door. They're the only two things that will stop the police from giving a yellow sticker. Now, while I let that sink in just for a minute, oh, there's a really nasty beetle by my foot. It'll be all right. So, service of defect notice. So this is from the Road Administrations Act. This is how the police can and can't give defect notices. Service of defect notice. A person who issues a defect notice for a vehicle must serve the notice by serving a copy of the defect notice personally on the driver of the vehicle and affixing in a conspicuous place on the vehicle, blah, blah, blah. Or, the or is very important in law, by affixing a copy of the defect notice to the vehicle in a conspicuous place. So everyone that says that just lock your car and walk away, that doesn't matter, absolutely doesn't matter. And what I will also say, that locking your car is also not a barrier. They can search your car with or without consent, with or without you there. So now we've got that sorted, let's move on to some of the finer details of this ticket, and I'll also talk about my discussion that I had with the police officer that gave my ticket on the phone, because I did pursue this quite heavily for quite some time, a couple of days, before I realised that the only way this would ever change is A, that police officer gets fired, or the law changes. That's literally how serious it is. So I got the yellow at 6:50 p.m. The yellow expired at 8 p.m. that night. That's 70 minutes. Now, usually on a yellow sticker, you have 10, 7, 14 days on that sticker, and you can go around, go buy parts, go do the things that you need to do to have the opportunity to fix that car. I was not given that opportunity. I had an hour. I'll talk about that in just a second because I spoke to the police officer. Now, what I will say is that the police also asked for Zac's camera and their footage. That's not allowed. They also asked to see if their badges were being filmed. People are allowed to do that. It's for their safety as much as ours. That's the kind of level that we're dealing with. They don't really care. They just spout stuff and people will listen because they're police. He told me on the phone, so I left a message, and he did call me back, which I'm very thankful for. The beginning of the conversation was very light-hearted. We had some jokes. He very quickly wanted to tell me how dangerous my vehicle was because it rubbed on the rear. It doesn't. I've driven this car for 6 months. It doesn't rub at all. I've gone to great lengths to make that happen. Yes, it's too low, but it's not dangerous by any stretch of the imagination. Is this car dangerous? I then questioned the legality of giving that yellow sticker before I'd read a bunch of this legislation. He quoted the Road Standards Act to me, the Vehicle Standards Act to me, sorry, which basically defines how a car can and can't be modified and built and also imported. He didn't know at all what piece of legislation allowed him to give me a yellow sticker. I knew, and he said that because he saw me drive in that he was allowed to do that. I questioned in what legislation that was, and he told me he didn't have to tell me. And I was like, well, if you're saying that that's the reason for legally giving me a yellow ticket, how can you say that you don't know where that is? If you know it, you will know where it came from. He didn't, and unfortunately the conversation went round in circles. He was not a very nice person. He was very standoffish. I called him out. I said, look, I can hear you getting annoyed. He laughed and said, I'm not getting annoyed. He was definitely getting annoyed. I don't think that someone has called up and said the things that I said to him, unfortunately. The senior constable stated that he was a car enthusiast. Absolute bollocks. I'm calling him out right now. If he was a car enthusiast, he would have come over, had a conversation, be like, look, mate, I think your car's a bit too low. Let's have a conversation about it. If I was a dick, sure. Now, when I was on the phone to the person that gave my yellow sticker, I questioned him about the hour that he gave me. He stated to me that his senior officer told everyone giving a yellow sticker to give them an hour to get home. I've spoken to 2 of the other people that got yellow stickers. They were given 7 days. Now, the only thing that I can put this down to is because I didn't go over to him. He was annoyed that I didn't go over to him. He was annoyed that he couldn't pin me for more things, even though this thing's only got 5 fucking modifications. The engine bay's stock. It's a D16 non-VTEC. Even a stock airbox. So that's the only reason that I can fathom that he gave me that time and gave everyone else that time. He didn't really want to listen to reason. He was just a not very nice person, to be honest. So that conversation was dead. Now, what I did do is I looked at ways to pursue this. There is no, in law, legal way to fight a defect notice. If you get a defect notice, bear in mind, you could go into the shops, get a defect notice that expired an hour ago. There is no way in law to say that, hey, you've given me a defect notice and it's wrong. You can go to the pits, as has been failed, pass, and there is absolutely no repercussions either for the officer or the regulations. Now, I will emphasize again, I fully understand I run the gauntlet. Every time I go out, I enjoy my car, I enjoy other automotive enthusiasts' company. We talk about cars, we hang out, we do rad shit. One of the reasons that he stated on the phone was that the rear tyres rubbed. They don't. They flat out don't. Come and put 10 kilos of concrete in the back of this car. It doesn't rub. I've gone to extreme lengths to make sure that that is the case because I understand that tyres rubbing on the arch will result in explosions. But obviously, this is what happens when you give mechanical powers to people that are not mechanically trained. I have a video on Instagram. I'll link my Instagram below. I won't bore you with the Instagram stories, but he's poking the tyre. Your guess is as good as mine. And that's the long and short of it, really. It goes to pits Thursday morning. It's going to fail because the one thing that I do know is illegal is I don't have arch liner. It's annoying. It's just fucking waste of time. But so obviously I need to get that, but I need to get a list. I need to make sure that anything else on this car, because he has requested a full inspection, that all of it is legal. So that's going to happen Thursday. I'm going to do a whole video series on that. I'm going to start this tomorrow night. It's just, I wouldn't have a problem, but he put an hour on it. I then spoke to the guy, and just not a nice police officer. Police officers are public servants, and he was just not a nice person, just wouldn't listen to reason. And unfortunately, he's going to be that way until the day he leaves the police force. And without a very expensive lawyer and changing literally legislation, this is going to continue to happen. I would love to say I have some big spiel about how I'm going to try and change that, but I'm just one man. There is no way of changing it. There's no way of stopping them. They will continue to do it. The only thing that I will say is know your rights. Know where and when they can give you a defect notice, and just read up on legislation. I will happily talk you through everything that I know, which isn't all of it. There's still a lot more to know. That's the end of this video. I hope this was informative. If you've come from Zac's channel or Ross Reviews channel, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. That was a very awesome thing that both of you guys did, and I will reiterate to Zac that it is not your fault. That is WA Police. Not even WA Police. I've met some incredible police officers. That is TEG, and that is, they will never change. I hope this has helped you. Welcome to the channel. More content on this coming up, more content on a bunch of really awesome shit, so I hope you stay tuned. And the next video will be a lot more cheery. Maybe, maybe not. Thanks for watching.